live.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carl Anderson, and I am the Assistant Director for International Student Recruitment at the University of Arkansas. And I'm now going to let my colleague, Dr. Bergman-Lanier, introduce herself and begin our presentation.
Hi, my name is Leah Bergman-Lanier, and I'm the Director of Spring International Language Center, which is the English language program at the University of Arkansas. And I'd like to introduce one more colleague that we have here, Emilia Sarme. Amelia is a graduate student. She is from Latvia, and she works with Carl in international admissions and recruitment, and she often works with Spring International Language Center. So the three of us work together quite often. And we're excited to introduce our programs to you. We know that you are all going to be thinking about what the process is for applying to a university and what are the things you need. And sometimes international students think that you need to have everything ready before you apply. And we're going to give you some tips to show you that it's a process, that in fact, you can begin the process of applying for a university without being exactly ready with everything. And so we're going to show you some pathways for being ready and for pathways for making choices. I'd like to welcome you all this evening. We are in early morning in the state of Arkansas, and it's nice to have you join us. So when you are applying for a university in the United States, you must show proof of English. But there are many ways to enter the university without having your English completely ready yet. So whether you are a beginner, or an intermediate or an advanced student that needs to just polish before you begin your academic program, you can make your application to the university. And there is a pathway, and it's called conditional admissions. And when you make that application to the university, there is a box that says, do you need further English? And you can check that box. And when you do, they will look at your academic credentials and your financial credentials or scholarships, and they will admit you before you have met the English requirement, and you would be admitted to Spring International Language Center, and you would get to come to the campus and begin studying English. In the last year and a half or two, we have had Turkish students who have been sponsored by the Ministry of Education and the Turkish Embassy in the United States that sponsor students to study English before they begin their academic programs. And of those, 20 students over the years, some of them stayed at the University of Arkansas, and some of them gone to other universities around the United States. And right now in the university, we have several Turkish students who decided to stay with us. So that's your opportunity. And I'm going to tell you first a little bit about how to make the English program works and what we do. And basically our job is to prepare international students with intensive English for, oops, I lost you all, to prepare you so that you're ready to have success in your university program, whether it's a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or a PhD degree for your doctorate. And we also help professionals and anyone who just wants to improve their English. Can we have the next slide? So one of the questions is often, why should I choose the University of Arkansas to do my degree, or why should I choose my the University of Arkansas for English? And I would say that one thing that you really want is strong academic programs. The University of Arkansas and Spring International are well known for academic preparation and degree programs. These students that you see on the screen, they are from Vietnam, and they are from Japan and Saudi Arabia and Turkey and Iraq and Malaysia and many other countries. And they started out their program at the intensive English language program, and then they went into their degree. And this was the day they were receiving their master's and their bachelor's degree. I go to graduation every year. We had graduation last night again. And it's always my most fun day because I get to see my students who started with either very little English or not too much English succeed. And it's an honor for us. You want to find a community that is safe and comfortable, where there's a low crime rate. Fayetteville, Arkansas is what we call a college town. The core of the community is all around the college. It's about 85,000 people who live in Fayetteville, and of that, 27,000 of them are University of Arkansas students around that. And the nice thing about being in the middle of the United States, we're kind of in what we call the South Central, is that it's a lower cost of living and lower tuition and fees, and a great place to meet your goals, but also to have a very, very robust English program and then a very robust academic program. Next slide. So together right now, I'm very excited to tell you, if you look at this picture, you will see this is a Greek theater, and there is a building behind it. Just to the right of the building in the middle with the trees, on the right side of that is where the intensive English program is. It's right in the middle of the campus. And so some of our students live in the residence halls, some live in apartments right near campus, some of them live with American families. So you have lots of opportunities, and we have lots of student support services. So we help you find housing. We help pick you up at the airport. We can help you be admitted to the university without a TOEFL or an IELTS score. We have admissions through this conditional admissions portal or pathway that I described. Our classes are very small, and we have a student-faculty ratio in academic programs of around 18:1, and in the intensive English program, our largest class is only 15 students, but mostly they average around 10. The climate is great. We have 4 seasons, and I'm from California originally, and I love 4 seasons. I get to feel very cold sometimes, but then the sun comes out and the flowers grow and it's springtime, and in the summer it's warm. And the state of Arkansas is quite beautiful. And with our active international student organization, we take you hiking and we do lots of activities for you to have a community both with American students and international students. And it's a great place to meet your needs for your academic goals, and we hope that you'll join us. Next screen. So when you're choosing an intensive English program, you want one that has a core goal of preparing students. This student is sitting next to the library. He's one of our students from, I think he's from China. And we prepare you, and we help you with your budget, and we help you not only with English, but learning what the American system of education is like, so you'll be prepared for how to interact with your professors and how to write research papers so that you will be academically, personally, socially, and culturally ready for your academic program. Next. So I talked earlier, and I'll say this again, the way that you start in the English program is you meet the academic requirements for starting, and you also meet the financial requirements. And if you don't meet the English requirement, that's fine. And what I said earlier, which is a tip for making your application, let's just say that after this presentation, you're really excited and you think, I want to go to the University of Arkansas. You can go today and fill out the application and only do that. And then you will receive an email that says, thank you for your application. We still need. And they will tell you all of the things you need to keep making your application. And then one day they will say, your application is complete. You have been admitted to the University of Arkansas fully, if you already have the English requirements. Or they will say, welcome to the University of Arkansas. You have been conditionally admitted. Please make your application to Spring International Language Center. Or you can do it at the same time. Or even better, you can just apply to the English program, and while you are here, we will help you apply to the University of Arkansas to meet the faculty in your department. And we have lots of ways of getting you there. All right? So when you are admitted to the English program, if you want to show me the next slide, Carl. Yeah. Okay. So if you can use your pointer, when you make your application on the top left to the university, go to the right, and you will see that if you meet the English language requirement already, you have a TOEFL of 79, an IBT, or a 6.5 on IELTS, or some other measure, then you're fully admitted and you go straight to the University of Arkansas all the way on the right. Yeah. Now, if you don't meet the English requirement, you make your application either to the university or the English program, and you come and you're conditionally admitted. That's the scope box in the middle. Once you get here, we will give you a placement test, and you can see that we have 7 levels, from very basic to no English at all, that right now you're having trouble understanding me, to high intermediate, advanced. We have 7 levels. Level basic, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And when you complete this level, the level at the top, level 6, you can enter the university without taking a TOEFL or an IELTS exam, as long as you make good grades. So if you get here and you place into level 4, Carl, you want to click on level 4? If you are in level 4, you will begin studying 25 hours a week for 9 weeks, which is 2.5, 3 months. And then you will go to level 5 for another 2.5 months, and level 6, another 2.5 months. So that would put you in the English language program for a semester and a summer, or a semester and a half. At which point you would be fully admitted to the University of Arkansas and get to begin your classes. So let's talk a little bit about the English language classes. I'm going to repeat this again, and I'm sorry, this is the 3rd time to do this, but we really want you to understand the pathway. So if you meet the academic requirements and you do not meet the English requirements, you can get conditional admissions. And then your final admission can be done even in level 5 if you pass the TOEFL at that point. Or you can finish 5 and 6 and go to the university without having to take any more exams. The English language requirements for the University of Arkansas are: 1, complete the English language program with B grades, or an IBT score of 91, or an IELTS score of 6.5, or the institutional TOEFL, which is a paper test that you can take here. Next slide. So these are the courses in the intensive English program. And you can see across the top here, you can see the levels that I showed you earlier. And once you place, let's say now you place into level 5, all right? Which would mean it would take you 1 semester to be ready. Level 5, you would take an advanced reading and writing class for 10 hours a week. Then you would take a applied grammar course, which is our structure course. And you would take listening and speaking and pronunciation. And that would be 25 hours a week. 10 hours of reading, writing, 10 hours of structure practice and applying it to your writing, and 10 hours of listening and speaking and pronunciation. So that by the time you finished, you have done all of the academic study skills and research papers and presentation skills you need as a graduate student or as an undergraduate. If you start in the lower levels, you will start with grammar and writing, and then reading and vocabulary and listening, speaking. So it depends on what level you're in, how our courses are organized. But they are scaffolded like walking up a ladder, so that every level gets you closer to being ready to do your academic courses. Next. So one of the things that you want, as I said earlier, how to choose an English language program, is their focus academic, right? All of our faculty have masters and PhDs in teaching English as a foreign language and English as a second language and linguistics. That we have most English language programs that you will see in the United States only have 20 hours a week. The reason that we have 25 is because we want to give you as much attention as possible. And in addition to those 25 hours, we have help desks and tutorials and lots of opportunity for interaction with American students and American culture. And so we want you to understand how working and community service and those sociocultural activities are part of the community that we create. And we'll be able to answer questions you have about either the English program or the process for conditional admission when we move forward. Thank you, Carl. Next. So I just mentioned that in addition to the intensive program, we have office hours by every faculty member. We also have the help desk where you can go and during lunchtime or after school, make an appointment with someone to answer a question on your personal life, your academic life, or help you with your grammar or pronunciation. We have Conversation Club, which is with American students, or also Conversation Club with our faculty. And we pick various topics. This year, we spent a lot of time talking about the elections and American government so that everybody understood the craziness that is going on in the United States today. And we have a computer lab that has special software for language learning. And we also have, when you are in level 4 or 5 or 6, TOEFL and IBT and GRE and GMAT preparation for your admission to grad school. And so if you want to take the TOEFL test, you don't need to, you can finish the levels, but if you wanted to continue studying, we have workshops for that. Next. So these are some of our students. Up in the top, they are at New Year's, and we have fireworks and flyers, and they were writing "Silk in the Sky," Spring International Language Center. And you can see we do outdoor activities, and we have students in our building, and they are from all, we do a lot of cross-cultural things, so students from all over the world can share their cultures. In this program in the middle, there are students here from Pakistan and from Nigeria and Brazil and Vietnam and more. At the University of Arkansas, we have students from 100 and, is it 4 now, Carl?
112.
112 now. And in the intensive English program, we have students anywhere from, when we are smaller now because of the pandemic, but sometimes we've had as many as 30 countries in our English program. So you will get to meet colleagues from around the world. And sometimes you think you are coming to the United States to meet Americans and have an American experience, but you get to have an international cultural experience. Yesterday we had a little party before the holidays and exchanged gifts, and in the room were students from Latin America, from Asia, from the Middle East, and it was really a very nice little moment to share before the holidays and before the new year. Next. So again, we talked about conversation partners. We also have what we call a student council, and in each English language level, the students vote and they choose a participant to the student council, and they get to have a voice. They meet weekly, they do special community service events, and we do leadership training with our student council. And it gives you an idea of how important being involved outside of your classes. And that's also true at the university. We have an Office of International Students and Scholars, and Carl's going to talk about lots of opportunities for being involved in the community. Excuse me one moment. Here. That's my dog. And so we have lots of intercultural activities, and we provide, as I mentioned, personal and academic and social and cultural counseling. So we are here to help you. We want your success is our success. This week, 10 of our student population, 60% of our students are going to start their academic programs in January. And then in January, we have new international students coming from what I think looks like 12 countries right now. So we're very excited, and we hope that you'll be among our new students sometime this year and into 2021. Your government has a scholarship that is funds your English and then funds your academic program. And students often ask about that. That's one way. And Carl's going to talk a little bit about scholarships that the university has. Thank you very much. Carl?
All right, thank you, Leah.
And we'll both answer questions for you throughout, and we'll repeat things so that it's easy for you to understand.
Thank you, Leah, and again, welcome everybody. We're glad to be here, well, this morning on our end, this evening on your end. So Leah has just described our Spring International Language Center. So let's assume that, or let's pretend that you have applied into the University of Arkansas and you've been conditionally admitted, meaning you did not meet the initial English proficiency requirement on a TOEFL or an IELTS score. And so you were conditionally admitted. You went through the Spring International Language Center. You have successfully completed that Pathways program, and now you're ready to start at the University of Arkansas to complete your degree. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what to expect at the university, some of the resources that we have. And I always start with this picture, which is of our senior walk, which is one of our traditions. Every graduate from the University of Arkansas, whether that's a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, a PhD, they will all have their name etched into our sidewalk. The reason I start with this picture is having your name in our sidewalk represents the ultimate goal that students have when they come to the University of Arkansas. What this represents is completion of their degree. And so I always start with this because hopefully this also will someday represent the ultimate completion of your goal. You'll come to the university, you'll complete your degree with us, and you too will have your name put into the sidewalk. We were founded in 1871, and this senior walk is the only one of its kind that we know of in the world. It has, as I said, the name of every single graduate at the University of Arkansas carved into it. It's over 8 kilometers long currently, and it has about 170,000 names in the sidewalk right now. We are, as Leah has already mentioned, a large public university. We have about 27,500 students studying with us right now from all 50 states in the United States. And we have about 1,200 international students from 112 different countries around the world. We are also the home of Fulbright. For those of you that don't know J. William Fulbright or the Fulbright Scholar Program, at the end of this presentation, I'm going to introduce one of our current students who was also a Fulbright Scholar studying here with us. And she's going to talk a little bit about her experience. This is Amelia. She's going to talk a little bit about her experience here at the University of Arkansas and what it was like to be here as a Fulbright Scholar as well. But J. William Fulbright was our university president for a few years. He was also a state senator here in Arkansas, and he eventually became a United States senator representing the state of Arkansas, and he created the Fulbright Scholar Program, which to this day helps in the exchange of international students all around the world. But we like to say that we are the home of Fulbright because J. William Fulbright was from Arkansas and was very deeply associated with the university and helping to bridge and develop the power of international education, not only here on our campus, but around the world.
And also, I will add that we mentioned your government has a scholarship. You too could apply. It's very competitive, but we have Turkish Fulbright scholars, and some of them begin their English here and do their academics here. Some of them begin their English here and do academics at other institutions. And sometimes with people who don't need English, the Fulbright scholarship places you directly into master's degree and PhD programs in the US. They are highly competitive, but you can find out about the Fulbright Scholar at the Fulbright office inside the American Embassy at the Cultural Attaché.
Yes. I've already mentioned who we are as an institution, 27,558 total students. Most of those are undergraduate students. You can see over 23,000 of them. But we have over 4,000 graduate students studying with us as well at the master's and PhD level. Our international student population is almost evenly split between undergraduate and graduate students. We have about 610 undergraduate international students and approximately 590 graduate students. And we have nearly 200 academic programs at the undergraduate and graduate level for students to choose from. Those include, again, bachelor's, master's, PhD programs, as well as graduate, short-term graduate certificate programs. And then, as Leah already mentioned, we have a very low faculty to student ratio as well. Now, this is important because it means that you have the opportunity for more intensive and more intentional and thoughtful interaction with not only your professors and your faculty in your courses, but also the students in your classroom. So it facilitates greater learning opportunities and just allows you to develop those important relationships with your faculty and other students here on campus. In addition to our academics, we want students to become involved on campus. We believe in developing students academically, but also socially and mentally and emotionally. And so we encourage our students to get involved in campus activities. And one of the ways that we encourage students to do this is through one of our 350 plus student organizations. And of those 350 registered student organizations, many of them are also international. We have many international student organizations. And these are organizations that you can join that will allow you to not only meet people on campus and develop friendships and relationships, but they also allow you to develop what I call your soft skills, your leadership skills, your communication skills, your organizational skills. You can join one of these mini organizations or more if you wish, and become the secretary of the organization, or maybe the treasurer, or even the president of the organization. So we encourage you to become involved on campus, to join one of our student organizations, and to really make a name for yourself on our campus. We have a lot of other resources for our international students. Leah has already mentioned our International Students and Scholars Office, which I sort of describe as your home away from home. When you arrive on campus, they will help you with everything from your new student orientation, which will guide you through the registration process for classes. They will help you move into one of our residence halls if you're living on campus. They will organize shopping trips to take you to local stores to make sure you have all the supplies you need for your residence hall or apartment. But they also will help guide you with your immigration resources and help you to maintain your immigration status as an F1 student or a J1 student, or whatever type of visa you may be studying here with us under. Leah has already mentioned, of course, in great detail, the Spring International Language Center. We have a Holcomb Living Learning Community. This is one of our residence halls that is intentionally divided between half international students and half domestic students. And it is an intentional living learning community where students engage in cultural sharing. They learn from one another. They learn what it's like to live in our current society where, you know, we are all living around the world and sharing and learning from one another. And then we also have what's called our Class Plus academic support services. And this is the core of our academic support. We have our Quality Writing Center, which can help you with any writing questions you have. They can proof any term papers or end of semester papers you may need some assistance with. We have a math tutoring center, and we have our enhanced learning center. Essentially, if you need academic assistance in any one of your academic courses, there's help for you. There's resources available for you to access. There's people for you to meet with. We want to make sure that you're successful as a student here at the university. And then I've already mentioned our new International Student Orientation, which the International Students and Scholars Office coordinates. This is a week-long orientation session, and it is designed so that on day one of classes, you have already created and begun to create a community of friends here on campus. You know the resources that are available to you. You have registered for your classes. You've even met some of your faculty. And so from day one, you are ready to go here on campus. This is our undergraduate and graduate application process. It is really quite straightforward, although I know that students have concerns about everything that needs to be submitted and the timeline, etc. But essentially, if you are an undergraduate student, a bachelor's degree seeking student, you will need to submit an online application form and an application fee of $60. You will need to upload your official academic records or transcripts or mark sheets. You will need to submit your, if you're wanting to apply conditionally, you can submit TOEFL or IELTS proof of English proficiency scores, or you do not need to. But if you're wanting to apply directly into the university, you'll want to submit TOEFL or IELTS or PTE-A scores, the Peterson test of English. And the minimum score that we have for a TOEFL is 79, for IELTS at 6.5, or for the PTE-A test, it is 58. Now, again, if you apply into the university under conditional admission, once you are admitted into the university, you will then begin your coursework with the Spring International Language Center under their I-20 document. And then once you completed that, you'll transition into the university. But you'll submit an online application, an application fee, your transcripts. You will also, as an undergraduate, want to submit SAT or ACT scores. The SAT or ACT is a standardized comprehensive academic achievement test measuring your qualitative, reading, writing, and quantitative math and science. This will not affect your admission status at all into the university. What we use the SAT and ACT scores for is course level placement. Essentially what that means is if you do very well on your math section, for example, on the quantitative section, we'll likely be able to place you at a higher starting math level at the university. Now, if you're going to apply for scholarship consideration, which I will talk about here in a moment, the scholarship committee here on campus will also use your SAT or ACT scores. And then the last thing as an undergraduate student that you would need to submit would be a copy of your passport ID page or government ID. And that's simply to verify your citizenship and your status as an international student. Now, if you are applying as a graduate student, a master's or PhD student, you would, in addition to your application and fee and transcripts and possible English proficiency scores, you would also need to submit the graduate record exam or GRE score. This is a test very similar to the SAT or ACT score test. I'm sorry, it's a standardized comprehensive measurement of your academic achievement from your undergraduate career, student career. Graduate students also need to submit letters of recommendation. Typically that's 3 letters here at the university. And then also a statement of purpose or a personal statement. And then for graduate students, if you're intending to apply for funding, typically that's a graduate assistantship, you would also need to submit your graduate assistantship application. And I will talk about that in just a moment as well. You can submit everything online. Everything is electronic. Once your application is complete, as Leah has already mentioned, you will be able to then access your online student applicant portal where you can manage the rest of your application. You can see if anything else is needed to upload. You'll be notified when your application is transferred to the academic department for review if you're applying as a graduate student, and ultimately you'll receive notification of your admission. We typically say
something, Carl.
Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to say that what is very, very different for the United States, and particularly for our campus, than what you are accustomed to at home in Turkey, where you have to have everything ready in one packet. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. But you can submit your application literally today without having your transcripts ready, because our system says, oh, thank you, you still need this. Oh, thank you, you'll still need that. Do you have any questions? Can we help you? And the idea is to walk you through the process. Of course, if you have everything ready, that's fantastic. But most people don't. And sometimes you wait. And when Carl's going to talk about scholarships in a little bit, but if you want a scholarship, the earlier you apply, the better, because they get given away right away. If you wait till the last day of scholarships in March, they'll be gone by then.
Yeah.
And so you want to begin early and get started. And I think that's a tip for pathways that oftentimes people don't tell you. So I want you to remember that, and remember how much we love questions and that all questions are good.
And that's a good segue into the next slide, which is our application deadlines. Now, for undergraduate students, these deadlines are fairly straightforward. Our fall semester, which begins in August of each year, the application deadline is June 1st. For spring semester enrollment, which begins in January of each year, the deadline is October 1st. For summer enrollment, the deadline is March 1st. Now, if you're applying as a graduate student, those are still the graduate school deadlines. However, many of the individual academic programs have their own, typically earlier application deadlines. So if you're applying as a graduate student into the engineering college, for example, and you're applying for the fall semester, you want to make sure that you've communicated with the engineering department to find out what deadline they have. And if they tell you their deadline is May 1st, that is, of course, the deadline that you want to meet. Now, for scholarship consideration for undergraduate students, we do have scholarship opportunities available for freshman students applying into the fall semester each year, meaning in August. There is an scholarship application window of November 1st to February 1st of each year. So for students that are wanting to apply for the, let's just say the fall 2021 semester, so the upcoming fall semester, the application deadline for scholarships opens November 1st and it closes February 1st. So students that were wanting to apply for fall 2021, If they wanted to apply for scholarship funding, we would have encouraged them to have their application for admission and application for scholarship in as close to November 1st, the first part of November, as possible, because as Leah just mentioned, the scholarship applications are reviewed as they come in. And so if you have a very strong academic background, if you have a high grade point average, if you have a high SAT or ACT test score, and you can get your application in the first part of November, you are more likely to be evaluated and receive funding than if you waited and applied in January, for example. Our scholarships are based on merit, so they will look at your incoming grades and your incoming test scores. There is not a scale that says if you have this GPA and this test score, you receive this amount of scholarship funding. So the advice that we always give is make sure that you have as high a GPA as you can, you know, a 3.5 on the US scale or above, and a very strong SAT or ACT score coming in. But the stronger your academic background, the more likely it will be that you will be awarded at least some scholarship funding, maybe a partial scholarship of $6,000, for example, or maybe a little bit more. For graduate students, we encourage you to apply for a graduate assistantship. This is typically a teaching or research-based assistantship where you are working with a faculty member or maybe another office on campus, and you are perhaps teaching undergraduate level courses in your field. You may be working on a particular research project with a professor, or you may be working with the graduate school or with student affairs. And in return for typically 20 hours a week, your tuition is paid for. You have approximately 60% of your student insurance paid for, and you also receive a monthly cost of living stipend for rent, utilities, food, basic cost of living. Amelia can talk briefly about her experience as a graduate assistant. She is a graduate assistant here in the graduate school with me. So, as Leah said, plan ahead, apply as early as you can. Don't be afraid to ask any questions about your program of study, about the application process, about the university, or about Fayetteville. The last couple of slides that I have here deal with Fayetteville, Arkansas, which is where we're located. We have about 87,000 people living here in the community with us. And as Leah mentioned, about 27,000 students at the university included. Within the state of Arkansas, we have over 3 million people. And we're located here in the northwest corner of the state of Arkansas within the Ozark Mountains. A very hilly, forested area, very beautiful area, lots of outdoor activities. And on average, we have about 218 days of sunshine per year, although this past week has been rather cold. And just about a week ago, we actually had about 3 inches of snow. It was the first major snow that we've had in about 5 years. So that gives you an idea of how often we have true winter type weather. But we do enjoy all 4 seasons, as Leah said: summer, fall, winter, and then spring.
Before the snow, it was warm enough to sit outside and eat. So
it's almost all gone now.
we always say that if you wake up in the morning and you don't like the weather, just wait 2 hours because it changes a lot.
So these are just a couple of last-minute pictures to share with you. When we're done with this presentation, before we do the question and answer portion, there's going to be a video played, a short 2-minute video played that will introduce you a little bit more to Fayetteville and to the University of Arkansas. But these are just a couple of pictures around the community. The picture on my left here is of campus. This is our old main building. This is the oldest building on our campus, completed in the late 1870s, I believe. This middle picture here is our farmers market, which is located around the community square here in Fayetteville, and it runs from approximately April to, or the beginning of May to well into sometimes October of each year. And there's early on, there's lots of fresh fruits and vegetables, flowers, plants, and then lots of handicrafts as well. And then this picture here on the left is of Dixon Street, which is kind of one of the main thoroughfares just off of campus, one of the main streets. It has lots of restaurants, coffee shops, etc. And it's a very popular place for students. And this store right here that you can kind of see the edge of here is a very wonderful used bookstore on campus called the Dixon Street Bookstore. It's a very large, cavernous bookstore filled with probably millions of used books and other items, and it's a wonderful place to just get lost in on a weekend. I've spent many an hour there and have spent a lot of money there.
You know, and it's one of the top 5 used bookstores in the world.
Yes.
So we're very proud of our used bookstore.
So this is our contact information for Dr. Bergman-Lanier and myself. And we're going to take questions here in just a few moments. I can always share this screen again before we finish, but you can, please feel free to email us, call us. I'm happy to arrange a Zoom session or a Google Hangout or a Skype, whatever works best if you have further questions. But I'm going to stop sharing this for a moment and allow the video to be played, and then we're going to take questions from you all. So just one moment here.
Just a second for video.
Uh-oh.
All right. So now you've gotten a little bit of a taste of the Spring International Language Center and what the center can offer for you, University of Arkansas. You've seen now a video kind of introducing, hopefully, and giving you a taste of Fayetteville and the campus. I want to give Amelia now a chance to talk briefly about what it is like to be an international student here on our campus, just to kind of give you that perspective, because I think that is very, very important. And then we'll take your questions. Amelia?
Hi, everybody. It's great to see you all here. I'm so happy that so many of you have had a ton of questions, a ton of great questions. I've been scrambling to keep up and try to answer them as much as I can in the questions tab, but we're so excited to talk to you more in depth about the things that you're curious about. And so, as Carl already mentioned, I'm an international student as well at the University of Arkansas currently. I got here in 2016 for my PhD, for my doctoral degree in comparative literature and cultural studies. And I came as a Fulbright scholar. So I got my Fulbright scholarship from my country, which is Latvia, in Northern Europe. I haven't had the pleasure of visiting Turkey, but I'm really excited for the possibility to do that sometime in the future. Dr. Lanier and Carl have both been to Turkey, and they were just talking about before we got on here how wonderful it is there. So I'm definitely sold on the idea of going to visit as soon as we can all travel and visit other places again. But so when I got here, it was definitely a bit of an adjustment, a bit of a culture shock, because I really didn't know anything about Arkansas. I didn't really have any kind of idea of where Arkansas really was and what it looked like there. I had only searched, for pictures online and tried to find out a little bit through my own research. But it was very different from what I expected. I guess when I heard the name Arkansas before, I kind of thought that it was like Kansas. And I had watched The Wizard of Oz as a kid. And so I thought that, it was kind of very flat. And then there were tornadoes and tumbleweeds everywhere. And that's absolutely not the case. Arkansas is actually very, very green. And it has a lot of hills and a lot of cliffs. And we have the Buffalo River here. And Arkansas is actually called the natural state because it has such a rich outdoor culture, so much awesome nature all around, and so many outdoor activities like hiking and kayaking that people love to do around here. So when I got here, I was really surprised. I didn't expect that there, was such an awesome natural landscape everywhere around here. And what I also didn't expect was how colorful and vibrant Fayetteville was as a college town. A lot of my friends who are also international students at different universities around the US, they come to visit me sometimes, and they're always in love with Fayetteville. And that's something that happens, I think, to anybody that visits Fayetteville, is that they really fall in love with the town because it's just very warm and friendly and welcoming. And I guess that's why I've stuck around here for such a long time and still, this is my last year of working on my degree, and maybe I'll apply for optional practical training to get some work experience next year, because it's really hard to say goodbye to Fayetteville once you get here, because it's that wonderful of a place. So when I started my degree here, I made lots of friends very easily because of the international student organizations that Carl talked to you about. I now have friends from places around the world that I had never even heard of before coming here. We always like to say that being an international student, or any student on the University of Arkansas campus, is kind of a little bit like traveling the world, because you just get to meet so many people from all over. And make friends that you really feel like you've traveled to different places and experienced their culture. All of the international students love to cook for each other here and create a really nice sense of community. I know that a lot of you are wondering, and a couple of you have asked, how many Turkish students we have here on our campus. And the answer is we don't have that many, but as I told you in my response to that question, we're really eager to have more. So we really would love for all of you to come and represent Turkey here at the University of Arkansas. Because one thing that I think somebody asked, what sets us apart from other states in the US? And, I can't speak to what other schools are like in the US, but what I know about the University of Arkansas is how much they want to learn about other places and other cultures. So we would love to have more Turkish students here, because we want you guys to bring your culture with you when you come to the University of Arkansas. that's definitely what I did as a Latvian student. I'm the only Latvian student here at the University of Arkansas, and I've never felt lonely or anything like that, because I've just made so many good friends here from all over the world. And as Carl mentioned, I'm also a graduate assistant. So if you have any questions about what it's like to be a graduate assistant, I'd be happy to talk to you about that as well. So I first worked for the English department as a teaching assistant. And so I taught American undergraduate students English writing courses. And then I transitioned into this job, which I took because I'm so interested in working with international students like you and like me. So I currently work for the graduate school and international admissions, and I help international students find their way to the University of Arkansas by answering their questions and helping them find any kind of information that they need. And I assist Carl with what he needs as well. And so I work 20 hours a week, and I can split that time up however I need to. My job is very flexible. Carl always lets me shift things around, which is really helpful because as a graduate student, you do have to do a lot of schoolwork, a lot of reading, a lot of assignments. But that being said, I don't think that you should be intimidated by that idea. I know that I was really scared when I was coming to the US, thinking that I'm never going to be able to keep up, with American students. And that really was not the case because on our campus, we have so many resources for international students and American students as well that help you with anything that you need. If you need extra support for a class, you can get that support. We have a writing center that helps you with your written assignments. We have different student services like tutoring for various subjects that you might take, both for the undergraduate level, so for bachelor's degrees, and for the master's and PhD as well. And you can always talk to your instructors. I know that in our cultures for different international students, sometimes we feel like there's like a separation between us and our professors, and there has to be like sort of a wall between us. And that is definitely not the case in the US. Here, you're supposed to talk to your instructors really freely. You engage with them in conversation over different things. A lot of the classrooms are set up in a way where for your classes, you will be encouraged to participate a lot, to share your opinion, to share your perspective and your worldview, because that's what we value here on our campus, is different perspectives and learning from each other. So if you have any kind of questions about finding housing or getting settled or what it's like to live here, any kind of thing like that, I'd be more than happy to talk to you about that. So I'm going to hand it over back to Carl.
All right. Thank you, Amelia. All right. Well, we've had lots of questions, and a lot of them I see have already been answered. Leia's been in there answering a few. So Carl, I guess, yes.
Sorry, if you click on the questions tab, you'll see all the questions there as well.
Oh, I was looking at the wrong, thank you. All right. So we'll, I guess, start answering some of the questions. There was one that popped out that I did want to address kind of right away here. And that was, there was a question about athletics. And one of the individuals talked about being a national athlete, and Leia responded with a link as well. I just wanted to add that the University of Arkansas is a Division I athletic school, which means, as I kind of describe it, we're the top of the top. And so while we do have many of our international students competing on our track and field team and other teams as well, it is very, very competitive. And typically what I tell students is if you are not recruited directly by the athletic team, typically what would happen then is if you're interested in trying to try out for the team, that team, whatever it may be, may have a walk-on process for you once you get here to campus. But if you're not recruited directly by the team to come here and represent the University of Arkansas on the team, athletic scholarships are very, very, very hard to come by. It doesn't mean that you won't be able to try out once you arrive here on campus and possibly earn a spot on the team. But even in those situations, you know, scholarships are very hard to come by. So I encourage you to visit the link that Leah shared, but also visit, you can visit directly the University of Arkansas Athletic Department website as well to learn more about our athletics.
I would like to add something to that, Carl.
Yeah.
You wrote, the student who asked that question wrote that you're nationally ranked in Turkey. If that's the case, sometimes they don't know about you. So if you have letters or you have your awards, then it never hurts to let them know. And at that point, then they may want to know more about you. So they are highly competitive, but we have lots of tennis people from Italy and from Brazil for this and that. So you never know.
One of the things that the athletic department website has links to each team, swimming, basketball, etc., track and field, and a lot of those teams have information on their website about how to submit things like videos, you know, competition videos, things like that Leah just mentioned. And so, yeah, I would encourage you to visit that site and see what they're looking for. Some of them even have questionnaires that you can fill out that, you know, ask you to list times, you know, split times if you're a track athlete, et cetera, et cetera. So other questions?
We have one question here, Carl, that just came in. Is the SAT or ACT optional?
Yes and no. So for admissions purposes, you do not need to submit the SAT or ACT. Now, one thing I did not mention during the presentation was if you choose not to submit SAT or ACT scores for purposes of admission, you will take what is called the AccuPlacer exam when you arrive on campus, and it's a very similar test. It's a standardized academic achievement test. For admissions purposes, the only thing that we use SAT, ACT, or the AccuPlacer scores for is course level placement, meaning we look at your scores and, you know, we want to place you in the correct reading, writing, math courses. Now, if you are wanting to apply for scholarship consideration, then yes, you need to submit either an SAT or an ACT score. It does not matter which, only one. And it's important to know that the AccuPlacer test cannot be used for scholarship consideration. So hopefully that answered your question without confusing you too much.
If you need any extra information on that, feel free to email us, email Carl or Dr. Lanier or myself at iao@uark.edu, and we'd be happy to share this information again with you.
Question from Melda. Melda, probably the best thing to do at this point is to email you can email Amelia at iao@uark.edu, or you can email me directly if you want. I can type my email address in here in a moment. And what we can do is we can touch base with you. We can, you know, answer questions that you have about, thank you. You can email either one of those two email addresses, and we can talk to you about the application process, about scholarship or funding opportunities, and any other questions that you might have about that program as well. And we can, if you want, we can schedule a Zoom session or something as well, so that we can kind of cover the information in more detail. Any other questions? And again, I know some people sometimes they have questions, but they don't want to ask it out loud or type it out loud. We completely understand. So please don't hesitate to email myself, Amelia, Leah will be happy to answer any questions that you might have. So,
Carl, we have had a couple of questions about our relationship with Turkey specifically. Do we have any faculty that are from Turkey? Do we have any agents that we work with in Turkey? Or
we don't have any. We don't have any agents at this point or at this time. It doesn't mean that we won't in the future. Leah, I'm not well. Off the top of my head, I'm not aware of any faculty, but you probably know better than I do.
I think actually we have a number of, right now in my mind, immediately, thinking quickly, we do have a Turkish student at the University of Arkansas who came through the English program and who was funded by your Ministry of Education, who is getting a master's degree now. And he would be more than happy to answer questions. So I will, I don't have his contact right now to put it in the chat, but you can write to any of us and we would put you in touch. I believe there are Turkish Turkish people in our community, and it's an interesting place. Sometimes I find out that there are people from other countries that I didn't know about just because a student asks a question, and they find us. So we can always find you someone who lives in the community or who is on the campus. And there are, we just don't have a huge population. Now, like I said, over the last year, I've had over 20 students in the intensive English program, but not all at the same time. We had a group of 7, and then they stayed for 6 months, and another group comes in and they go on to their academic programs, and a couple of them have stayed here, as I mentioned. So we do have contacts for you, even some of them who've gone on to other universities who can answer questions about the English program, about Fayetteville, and their experience here.
We have
and we can always, oh, sorry, Amelia, go ahead.
Have a mosque on campus. So if some of you are interested to know about having a community for your faith, there are churches in the area, there's a synagogue, and in fact, right on, literally on the campus across the street is a mosque, which is a very robust community of internationally, of domestic and international Muslims.
And I was just going to mention too, similar to what Leah mentioned just a moment ago, if you want to talk with any of our current students as well, we can certainly arrange that. We've got ambassadors and others that would be happy to talk with you about their experience here as a student, as an international student as well. So
we also have a halal market.
Yes.
So, Amelia, you were going to say something, I think.
I was just going to ask one of the questions, but we just had a new question come up here, Carl, about do we have any short-term study abroad programs for the summer?
Yes, we do. We actually have a lot. Now, the other question to ask is, what do those look like right now in the age of COVID? And, going forward, looking forward to this coming summer or summer 2021, everything is a little bit up in the air, but we do anticipate things improving as the vaccines are become more widespread. But yes, I mean, we do have a study abroad and exchange office that helps to facilitate all sorts of faculty-led programs over the summer, short-term study abroad, whether it's a semester or a year. So we do encourage our international students to, come and study with us, and then also take advantage of the opportunity to go to a third country and study as well, because that's another great experience for you. And you can visit our study abroad and exchange office to learn more about the programs they offer, and also hopefully receive updates.
If you are asking about study abroad programs to come from Turkey time for a short term in the summer, through Spring International, we have you can come for an English program just for the summer. We have students who do that quite often, and it gives them a chance to visit our university and other universities or colleges in the area. In addition to that, Spring International has a Teaching English as a Foreign Language Certificate program that we do in the summer. So if your goal is to be an English teacher in Turkey, you can come here for our TEFL Teaching English as a Foreign Language Certificate program, which is a 4-week program in the summer. And we are also doing that program virtually during the pandemic. So we have had people from, you know, any number of countries taking our teaching program. So we do have opportunities for summer culture and language program. So if you're interested in coming for the summer, certainly write to me and we'll be happy to tell you about what's happening for 2021.
And I'm going to answer that last question from Nakati, and then I'm going to apologize. I need to sign off after this. I have a very important appointment that I have to get to on campus, but I know that Leah and Amelia will be happy to stay on and answer any further questions. You can always email me as well. But to answer the question, and Leah, you may be able to help with this as well. I'm not familiar with any study abroad program specifically to Turkey from the U of A. Right now, currently, there may have been some in the past, but I'm not sure that we have any right now specifically. So
I just put in the chat a link to our partner institution from the Study Abroad Office. So if any of you are currently studying for your degree in Turkey and want to know if you can come study with us for your study abroad, you can check out that link that's in the chat to see if any of your institutions in Turkey are partnered with us.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you all very much. This has been wonderful to talk with you all and present to you all. I apologize that I need to go, but I'm actually going to get a COVID test right now in this day and age. So I don't want to, not because I need one, not because I'm sick or anything, but I'm hoping to do some travel here soon. And so I'm preparing, but I don't want to miss that appointment. So I'm going to go.
Well, Amelia,
thank you all very much. I will leave, but if Leah and Amelia, you want to stay on and answer any questions, please do so. So thank you so much. I hope to see you all here very soon on our campus.
Thank you, Carl, very much. Amelia and I will stay here. You be healthy and good luck on your test.
Thank you.
Amelia and I will stay in answer.
Right.
Amelia, for some reason, I can't see the questions, so if you could.
Okay, I can just. So we had a question here that's a really great question. So what sets us apart from other states in the U.S. and other places in the U.S.?
Well, I think Amelia has mentioned some of those things. I came here from California, and I came actually just for 1 week to do a special seminar that I was teaching, and I never left. I left my teaching position at the University of California at Irvine to come here. The sense of community is incredibly strong. And I'm talking about the academic community, but the community at large. There's a lot of art here, a lot of music. And as Amelia has mentioned, there's hiking trails, and there's so much in the nature around this area. And so within less than 30 minutes, I can be hiking in the mountains. In 15 minutes, I can be hiking. Or I can be at a world-class museum. We have a museum that's called Crystal Bridges, and maybe you can put the link to that in the chat. Crystal Bridges is this amazing museum that also has courses, and it has concerts, and we have concerts in the park. There's music, there's theater. It's just a very robust, small college town. And so you have the advantages of a larger city, but in a safer, less expensive community and a college town. And I think for me, it's the variety of opportunities. And I meet other faculty and other professors all the time who said the same thing. I hadn't intended to come here. I love California. I lived in a great place. But again, California is very expensive. And even with my good salary at the university, everything was always a challenge. And it's the same thing for my students there. So I like being able to say that, oh, you need to meet somebody, and it's a networking place. People are always connecting each other to somebody else. I met Amelia through somebody else, and suddenly she was working for us in the English program. So I think that that's the beauty of this, that it's a interactive, dynamic, open and warm community, I guess. Art, music, theater. We have we have a school of art and schools of architecture that are very robust. And you want to look. I think another thing that sets us apart are our agriculture programs, our animal science and poultry science. If you're an undergraduate and you're interested in going into medicine, we have really great pre-med programs here at the University of Arkansas, all the way from the College of Education to the College of Arts and Sciences to engineering, which are all preparation for medical programs. And, you know, oftentimes people are looking at the rankings of the whole university, and I suggest more you look at departments, because we may not be in the top 100, but we may be in the top 5 in something. Our poultry science program is highly competitive. We're in the top 5. Our programs in supply chain and business are in the top 5. So, you know, you need to look by program and by interest. But I would guess that my best adjectives would be dynamic, safe, affordable, warm community, receptive community. You are welcome here.
Definitely. And I think one of the things that was really, really important to me when I got here as an international student, I hadn't even considered this before coming here, but the fact that we have so many resources for international students on our campus, just anything that you can think of you might need help with, the people here on campus will go above and beyond to help you with finding housing, figuring out where you have to go for your classes, helping you prepare for your exams. Just the level of support that I got when I got to campus, I just never expected that would happen, because back home for my master's degree program, I was pretty much all on my own. That's just the academic culture in Latvia. You study, you do your own thing, and there's not really that many resources to help you extra if you need help at the university. But that's definitely something that's special about academic culture in the US, is that you just get everything when you come to campus. It's not that you just go to your classes, you get so many extra things on top of that.
Yeah.
So we have a question here, Dr. Lanier, and you mentioned already some of our programs that are sort of our star programs for international students. So what programs are the most popular for international students, and why?
That's a hard thing to say for most, because you are as diverse as we are. You know, one of my favorite programs on campus now is actually the program that Amelia's in for her PhD, because it's a very diverse program that allows for you to be in linguistics or comparative literature or cultural studies, or it's just a very broad-based program. We have stunning engineering programs, civil, chemical, mechanical. One of our most robust programs on campus is microphotonics electronics, and also what is Adnan's program? Biological sciences.
Yeah, molecular.
Cell and molecular biology.
Yeah.
Our cybersecurity program is growing. We have a good computer science program, but they are developing a new degree in cybersecurity, which of course is on everybody's mind. I think a very popular program is supply chain in the College of Business. We all know that that's an international field. Also, I think another one of my favorite programs that's very robust is the program in entrepreneurship in the College of Business. How to begin your own business, how to be a creative person, whether you are in industry or whether you are in social entrepreneurship and service, or whether you are looking to create something new.
Definitely. And that's also because we are right next to the Walmart headquarters of the USA. So that's a really big asset for us.
College of Business is very strong. College of Engineering, College of Business, College of Agriculture and Lifestyle Sciences, Medicine. It's a very well-rounded institution. And also we have lots of interdisciplinary programs like cell and molecular biology. That's interdisciplinary. We have programs that engineering and hard sciences work together. So if you can open your scope, sometimes you'll find something that you least expect, which is why Amelia and I are both here. Neither of us had planned to come to Arkansas.
Yeah, and one of the things that you should definitely keep in mind is that it's a good idea for you to email us, to email iao@york.edu, and I'll put that email address again in the chat, or email Carl or Dr. Lanier, and just ask us what programs we have, and we will show you resources that we have of websites where we have a whole list of descriptions of different programs. So sometimes you might think that you want to study one program and you don't know what all else is out there that's related. Yeah. So to find the best fit for yourself, do some exploration of programs and really read about them and find out maybe there's something that you just didn't think of that's actually what you want to do.
A good example of that is the College of Engineering. If you're an undergraduate student, not a graduate student, and you're coming for a bachelor's degree, students come here and they say, I want to be an electrical engineer. And what the College of Engineering does is they have a required course for engineers. And it tells them about all the different types of engineering: industrial, chemical, mechanical, civil, and computer science engineering. And what they do is they give all the students who want to be engineers that course. And I can tell you that 60% of the students switch to a different engineering after they've heard about it. So that kind of questioning, if you are a graduate student and you're already a civil engineer, or you're already a microbiologist, or you're already something and you know what you want, then we want to introduce you to the department and the people in the department so you can have a dialogue with either other international students in the department or faculty to answer your questions, whether they support your specialty. And if you are applying for a PhD program, you need to find a research match. So you want to apply to universities that have the kind of research you want to do. And we can connect you with those people to be sure that this is one of those places. And I will tell you, for a master's degree, it's not a master's degree is a degree where you get control of your field. So it's often broader, but a PhD is very specific, and it's a research degree. So if you're applying for a PhD, we want to make sure that you have a research match. Otherwise, we may not be the right place for you. So we can help you start those dialogues. For a master's degree, it's more broad, and there's more, and with PhDs comes more funding than masters do.
Yes.
Dr.
And
Yeah, thank you very much. We are running out of our time, so but it was very informative. So I didn't want to interrupt your session. So it was very informative, very detailed information, and very beneficial for students. Thank you very much for joining us and all information you provided for them.
thank you.
Thank you very much. We hope to hear from some of you. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I also would like to thank to our attendees in Turkish as well. Değerli katılımcılar, katılımınız için çok teşekkür ederiz. Aynı zamanda sizi saat 6'daki webinarımıza da davet etmek isteriz. Thank you very much again. It was very nice to welcome you at the IEFT Talks webinars.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Stay safe and healthy.
You too. Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.